So what I want to do is run through just a little bit more detail on share renting. And you might say, well, Jesus, how much more information do I need on this? One of the key things when you learn anything new, has anyone seen the movie Vantage Point? It's a movie about 4 or 5 years ago. It was about the President of America getting assassinated. And they had about 5 or 6 different eyewitness accounts of the same event. And everyone described it in a different way. And the key thing for us here tonight is to make sure that each and every one of you understands this strategy because it's so powerful. People often talk about markets and how things are at right now, good or bad time to be investing. Give you an idea what Jason's, and I'm going to introduce you to Jason in a few minutes' time, Jason's team have achieved for their clients, people just like you, in the last month, trading stocks here in Australia like Fortescue. Who's seen what the market's done in the last sort of few months, good or bad? 7% net last month. Happy with that, yes or no? Gee, you're a tough crowd. 7% net, yes or no? Yes. Reasonable return. And that's what happens if you're in the game, but you've got to feel comfortable with that. So I want to share a few things with you. I've got 2 or 3 things I need to run through on the screen. The first one is license and disclaimer. And obviously, I am qualified and licensed, thanks very much, qualified and licensed to be talking to you today. That's something that's very important. People talk about trading and investing involving risk. And we also talk about past performance being no guarantee of future performance. Obviously, if you're married, you probably already understand that statement quite well. Have a think about that. So be careful where we go with that this evening. But what I want to do is just share with you some of the practicalities and maybe answer a few of the questions and give you a very, very easy way so that every single person in this room can start accessing what, in my opinion, would be one of the cornerstone strategies that you should have in any kind of investing. So a couple of things I want to cover. First of all, let's just take a quick look at what an option is. So we'll just swing over onto the whiteboard if we can. An option is really simple. It's a piece of paper. Everyone following me so far? What's an option, guys? I said play hard, that's good. And let's say we buy this for, say, 10 cents. We're all still on the same page, right? What do we get for this piece of paper? Well, what it does, it gives us the right, not the obligation, but it gives us a right to buy something at a point in time in the future. We're talking about buying an option, not selling. We'll get to that in a moment. So in this case, let's just say we were looking at a share, and this company was called, let's be really creative, let's call the company XYZ. Okay? And what buying this 10-cent piece of paper does, it gives me the right, if I choose to, now that's something that's really important, if I choose to, you don't have to do anything here. If I choose to, I can swap my piece of paper for shares in XYZ at a price that we agree now. Okay? So let's say we agree $1. How much? $1. So by owning this piece of paper here, we paid 10 cents for, we get the right, not the obligation, if we choose to buy shares in XYZ for $1. Now, if XYZ goes up to, say, $1.20, okay, how many people in the room would like to pay $1 for something that's really worth $1.20? Let me know if that's pretty much everybody, right? Because what we're effectively getting is a discount on the value of the shares. That's why people do this. Now, by the way, if the share price went up to $1.20 and we're getting a 20-cent discount, do you think this piece of paper we paid 10 cents for would have some sort of value? What do you reckon, guys? Yes or yes? Okay, more or less than 10 cents if we're getting a 20-cent, there's the clue, a 20-cent discount? More. Roughly what, give or take? 25. Yeah, I'd say at least 20 cents. So by the way, how would you feel if you bought something for 10 and turned it into 20? Who'd be happy about that? Not a bad deal, right? By the way, I don't know if you guys have ever noticed, but whenever you come to a seminar, these whiteboards are very, very, very cool whiteboards. These are seminar whiteboards, so whenever you look at an example, they always work perfectly. Right? You get home and try it and you go, gee, they made that look easy. Anyone ever experienced that before? So let's look at the other side of the equation here too. What about if the share price fell? By the way, did people know that that can happen? A lot of people didn't, apparently. Let's say the share price fell to 60 cents. Anyone in the room still pay $1 for something that's worth 60 cents? By the way, if you ever feel like you want to do that, I'll make sure you get my personal phone number because I'd love to work with you if that's what your investment strategy is. So on the back of this, and I say that tongue-in-cheek because all of you guys are learning about this strategy right now, and our job, I know we're having a bit of fun with this, we want to keep it nice and light, is to make this very, very easy for you to enter in this strategy because if it's easy, you're probably going to do it, and your confidence is going to grow. And the hardest thing for all of you, and I feel for you, is taking that first step. So if we can make this more accessible and help you take that first step towards making some cash with this, we've achieved our objective tonight, and we'll help you achieve yours too. Okay? So if the share price drops to 60 cents, how much do you reckon our piece of paper might be worth now? More or less than 10 cents? Much less. It might be worth, say, 0.1 of a cent. Now, here's a really interesting question. If you had a choice, if you own the shares, of losing 40 cents, or in the case of the option, losing 10, and please do take your time with this, what would you rather lose? Okay. So we started to explore some of the benefits of options. By the way, this is about a term and a half at uni if you do finance degree. Okay, so we've compressed that in, and I know looking around the room, you probably feel like someone's put a fire hose in your mouth and turned the water on and saying, take another drink, there's a lot of information today. So what I want to do with the time that we have is show you a very, very simple example of precisely the mechanics of how this works, because if we demystify it, you'll feel comfortable with it, and if you feel comfortable with it, you'll do it, and if you do it, you're going to make money. Okay? So let's have a look at an example. Let's talk about using a strategy like this on a company. Let's call the company Oil Search. Anyone know what Oil Search does, just out of interest? It's not a trick question, by the way. Okay, so it's in the oil exploration industry. And let's say we've picked up our shares. Say we bought 5,000 of these shares for, say, $4. Everybody with me so far? We bought, like in the example with Jamie where you just went through the newspaper, we've bought 5,000 shares in Oil Search at $4. Now, what we want to do is two things. Firstly, we obviously want to see the value of our investment go up, but more importantly, we need to generate some cash flow because cash flow is so important. It doesn't matter how many assets you have. When you go down to Coles or Woolies and they ring the grocery bill up, which is at least $160 and more these days, cost of living rise, and they go, that's $160, thanks. You go, great, I've got 5,000 Oil Search shares. Do you reckon that will work? Probably not. No, what we need is the cash flow from it. So let's see how we can go at unlocking our asset here to generate some cash flow from it. So what we're going to do, the term that Jamie likes to use, and it's the one we use within our brokerage so that we're all speaking the same language, share renting. So what we're going to do here, we're going to sell an option over our shares. Remember you just did that with the paper. You bought your shares and you sold your option. We're going to sell a $4.50 call option. Now what this means is if the share price gets over $4.50, what do we have to do? We have to sell our shares. Now, this is one of the interesting things. A lot of people, when we talk about this strategy, go, look, Andrew, I wouldn't like to use this strategy because I wouldn't want to lose my shares. Now, John just talked about language and psychology just very briefly there. When someone uses the term lose, is that a positive or negative word? How many people here have ever lost a phone or keys? Who's ever done that? Who's lost? What was the first word that sprung to mind? And this isn't being recorded, so you can say it. Shit! That's an emotional word, and thanks for your honesty. Anyone over here lose a set of keys? What was the word that sprung to mind? The other one, the F word. Okay, we won't go into that. It's a mixed audience. The point is, if we say we lose something, emotionally it doesn't feel good. So if we say, oh, I'm going to lose my shares if they get over 450, you probably go, no, leave that strategy alone. I don't want to lose anything. Think about what we're actually doing here. We're not losing our shares. We bought them for $4, correct? And if we had to sell them for $4.50, what have we just done? We've made a profit. Is that good or bad, by the way? It's great. So all we've done is converted from shares to cash. Remember, we had the shares here, and then we sold them, and we converted back to cash for a profit. How many people would like to convert from shares to cash for a profit? Just to throw some terms. It's not a bad thing, really, is it? What about if you got paid to convert from shares to cash for a profit? That's not too bad. It's a bit different to losing your shares, isn't it, if we think about it in that way. So in this case, let's say we sold our options contract for, say, 20 cents. So what we've done, we've bought our shares, and then we've decided to sell a $4.50 call for 20 cents. Everyone with me here? So let's see what happens now, because, you think, okay, well, that's the principle, but what actually happens in reality? Let's take a look at that right now. So let's say, for hypothetically, I bought the shares, I'm selling a $4.50 call for 20 cents. What that means is I need to sell it to someone, which is a very convenient way of leading us to volunteer number one. Who's got 20 cents? Notice everyone's looking at the carpet going, gee, that carpet's a nice color. We don't paper trade. That means we need real money, 20 cents if anyone's got one. We've got some moths coming out of someone's wallet. Come on, guys, it's going to be a long night if you don't get your 20 cents. Who's got 20 cents for me? There you go. Down this end? Nice and close. What was your name, sir?
Vegas.
Vegas. Thank you, my friend. There's your options contract, and away we go. There we go. Now, think about what's just gone on here. Let's just go through the practicalities of what goes on in the market, because I want to demystify this for you so you can feel comfortable with it. Somebody bought shares, correct? And they elected to sell a call option. Well, it's kind of on this bit of paper now, but they wrote a call option, correct? That's what we call writing call options. Now, did I receive some cash flow? Yes. Now, I only got 20 cents, which I appreciate isn't going to go a long way these days. But remember, how many shares did I have? So in actual fact, I would have generated $1,000 of cash flow for this month. Good or bad? Good. Now, what's $1,000 worth to us? Well, it depends on your benchmark. It's like 45 cases of VB, if that happens to be your benchmark. It's a pair of Christian Louboutin shoes, if that happens to be a benchmark. But $1,000 is worth having because that could be car repayment, it could be a mortgage repayment on an investment property, or more than one property if it's over in the US right now. So there's some of the things to think about, worth having for sure. Okay, now Vegas bought our option. Notice, by the way, Vegas sat in the front row and he's an action taker. Always get good people sitting in the front row. We've done our research, and the share price has started to move up. The share price is now $5. Now, Vegas has got the right to pay $4.50 for these shares. Is that good or bad? And he's decided that he'd like to lock in some profit. So the option he bought, would it be worth more or less, if the share price has gone up, would it be worth more or less than 20 cents? Much more. Let's say it's worth 50 cents, which very conveniently brings us to volunteer number 2. It's gone very quiet in here. This is a two-way session today, by the way, guys. Okay, who's got 50 cents for me? Somebody around here? Someone nice and close? Don't throw it. And thank you, ma'am. Stay right there. What was your name? Jessica. Jess? Stay there, Jess. I'll just do my broking for the evening. Yes. Nice one, Vegas. There's your 50 cents. Nice. I'll just transpose that across to the other side of the room. La-di-da-di-da. The good thing is we do this electronically, so... There you go, Jess. Thanks very much. Now, have a think about what we've done. Jess is an action taker, which is great. She's even at the front. They're a funny-looking lot, aren't they? Now, say this share price went up to $6 because oil prices have been moving up. That option that Jess has got in her hands would now be worth probably at least $1.50. You only paid 50 cents for it. Would you be happy with that?
Yes.
And what would you probably look to do then?
Sell it again.
Sell it on to somebody else. Probably not to someone in this room because you guys are already learning the game. But what I want you to think about in Vegas, you've got to say, you mind just hopping over here? Come up here with me a second, Jess. Guys, let's just explore something very quickly. Did I generate cash flow, which was my objective as the person that owned the shares? Yes or yes? And then someone came in and bought the option at 20 cents and turned it into 50. So did Vegas make money on this? Yes or yes? And Jess picked up the option for 50 cents and it's now worth $1.50. Did she make money? Yes or yes? Hands up if you made money on that transaction. That's us. Okay. Hands up if you didn't make money on that transaction. Okay. Now here's a key point. Markets only reward action takers. You never make any money watching it. You have to be involved with it. That's the only way to go. Now, what we've just done is a very, very simple demonstration of exactly how these markets operate. Now, the reality is, yes, it's electronic, but it's no more complicated than what we've just shown you. That demystifies it for a lot of you, I hope. Give these guys a round of applause. Thanks very much, guys. Okay? This fear factor is one we just got to punch through, and you guys are already broken boards, right? Yep. What's fear? Just move on. It's nothing. Just because it's new and the language is a little bit different. So my team, Jason's team in particular, that manage our covered core share renting desk here on the Australian market, on the US market, online and full service, are there to do the legwork for you, to come up with these ideas on the trades and say, we're recommending this or that. How do we get to do that? Well, we have a team, we have an army of people, we've got over 70 people in our business, and their job is one thing: to make your life easy. Now, you could sweat over it and try and work it out yourself and save a few dollars here and there. But the reality is, how many of you would like to be sitting looking at a computer screen all day? I mean, we've got catheters fitted in our stuff. They're not going anywhere during the trading day, you know what I mean? So they're just in front of the market, just watching this really closely. And so they're going to call you and notify you of what's going on, so that irrespective of what you choose to do to fill your day up, be it work or be it time with the family or playing golf or whatever it might be, you can still be across these markets. It's not designed to take over your lifestyle. It's designed to contribute to it. Kind of makes sense, guys? Now, one last thing. People talk about, which market to trade. We focus on the Australian market for a few reasons. One, it's our time zone, so it's very, very easy for us to trade here. 10 till 4 every day, real simple. Your money's kept here. It's held with Bank West, part of Commonwealth Bank. Reasonably safe? You'd think so, wouldn't you? You're not exposed to currency risk. These are some of the reasons we like it. Now, the US market is more liquid. But the premiums, people often say you get more income trading in the US. That's just not the case. I'll show you what I mean by that. Can we just flick over to the chart for a moment? If we have a look at, we take a look at this, I'm just going to compare a couple of companies. I want to compare Macquarie Bank, which we talked about earlier, with Goldman Sachs, because whenever you compare company performance, you've got to compare apples with apples. If you compare a steel mill with Google, are they same businesses? Totally chalk and cheese. One makes money, which is probably not a bad thing. The other one probably doesn't right now. So you've got to compare apples and apples. So we compare Macquarie and Goldman Sachs, both investment banks, and what we can see here is really simple. Here we're trading a call option 0.5% out of the money, okay? And we're receiving $1.30 on a 33 dollar call from Macquarie. It's about 4% income. On Goldman Sachs, 0.5% away out of the money, you're receiving $4.65, which is 3.5%. Remember, you should always look at the percentages, because I know $4.65 looks far more attractive than $1.30, but you're paying $130 for shares in Goldman's. You're only paying 35, or probably only 20-something for Macquarie ones now. Okay, so you've got to be very careful. So we focus on both markets. So if you need help on the US or you need on Australia, we can help you with that. The key thing is to help you get started. Fair deal, guys? Now, a couple of questions that some people asked just before, and I'm happy to mop those up. And what I want to also do is give you something for free. How many people like stuff for free, by the way? Overwhelming response. It is the magic word from a marketing point of view. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to give you the ability to set up a trading account. It's not going to cost you anything to set up, but it will enable you to do this kind of work. Who'd like to be able to do that just out of interest? What about if you had someone holding your hand every step of the way? Now, I don't want you to think about this as a visual that is literally chained to a desk with a catheter, not moving away between 10 and 4 from the market so they never miss a trade for you. Doing the legwork for you. It's called outsourcing. It's kind of like getting someone to mow your lawn or clean your car, iron your shirts. Smart money. Because the money you pay them is nothing compared to what you can be earning or doing outside of that. It's time well spent. So we're going to do that for you. We're going to let you do that in a moment. We've got a bit of paperwork to do that, which is really, really simple. But what I would like to do is just take care of any questions. And I think there was one just before about put options. Somebody was asking about selling puts. Was that you, ma'am? What I'd suggest if you're wanting to manage risk on that, and I don't want to, you guys have got enough information today. I do just want to answer that. And what I'd probably do, instead of just selling a put, I'd probably do a bull put spread where I buy some insurance underneath. Happy to spend some time having a chat with you about that. Okay? So any questions before we move on, guys? Yes, sir. Yes, we do. We offer CFDs, was the question. CFD is contract for difference. Yes, we do. Direct market access, not a problem. And
can you combine them with an option strategy in the same platform?
The options market won't do that because it's not recognized as collateral. I know there are other people that hold different views on that, but that's my experience as someone that owns a broking business.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. God, we're getting the runners to work hard tonight.
Hi. This is all completely new to me, so I'm just sort of trying to get my head around it. But if you've got existing shares that you already own, would you in some way take those and be able to sort of share rent from them?
Absolutely. That's a terrific question you just asked. The lady was asking if you own existing shares. Two of the things that we'll do, once again, we do this free of charge for you. What we like to do when people come on board as a client is actually look at your overall portfolio and do what we call a spring clean. And you may be holding stocks, you go, look, that's really good, let's get a bit more of that. Or that one, yeah, maybe not so good, let's look to get rid of that when the opportunity presents itself and then use the cash to buy a different asset that we can then move forward a little bit with. Kind of make sense? So you can use your existing stock as collateral to do this, certainly, depending on what the shares are. And similarly, we can also help you and say, look, you probably want to get rid of that or you want to get more of this too. Okay, so we're happy to do that as part of what we offer as our service. Yes, sir?
Can I use my soup money to do this?
Terrific question. Gentleman's question, if I might repeat that, you're wheezing. I can't make you do this anymore. He's sweating up. It's so hot in here. Can I use my super to do this? The answer should be yes. With your self-managed super funds, for those of you that manage super, one of the key things you need to make sure is that your trust deed permits you to do this. And most trust deeds do, to be fair. And if it does allow you to do that, and I'd say probably 90% of trust deeds do, then by all means you can do this for sure. There's a few other bits of paperwork we can help you with, and yeah, we can get you up and running. So be it as an individual, be it as a company, be it as a family trust, or be it as a super, we can certainly help you with this kind of strategy. Terrific question. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. He said, ma'am, that wasn't the answer, was it? Yes, sir.
I was just asking Jamie earlier, has it increased liquidity in the Australian market now that there are 100 share parcels?
That's a great question. Look, in the past, up until April of this year, you used to have 1,000 shares in Australia to do this strategy. Now you only need 100, which has made it very, very affordable. You think about 100 Telstra shares is $300. Now, if you really had to, how many people could put their hand on $300? By the way, we take jewelry, body parts, children. I mean, we can work something out. So in a way it has. I think one of the things that we're suffering from, like all markets right now, is just this level of uncertainty, which has sent a lot of people into their shell. And as someone that's been a professional trader for 18 years, I'll tell you this right now, and by the way, tomorrow I'm going to show you how you can really make some cash in this market right now. But what I'd say is that when there's volatility, people that don't understand the game plan run away from it. When there's volatility and you understand the game plan, this is probably your most profitable time to be trading. And we've seen some great returns in the market, and I'm happy to have been able to share this with you guys this evening because you really are in a sweet spot to make 2012 your year. You've just got to embrace the strategy and just get a bit of help along the way, and we're happy to do that. If anyone would like to have a one-on-one with Jace heads up our cover calls team here on the desk here in Queensland. Say hi to Jace, guys.
Hey everyone, how are you?
Okay.
Yes, I look after the covered calls and options professional, and I'm one of those people that sit behind the desk there. I get all my coffees delivered from downstairs cafe and lunch as well. So I'm there watching your trades. What I and the team will do for you, especially if you're brand new to this, once you've got your account open for free, we'll give you a call. These are the shares we're buying. This is a call that we're going to sell. So that makes it super easy. We're holding your hand there. Watch the trade, and when it's time to take profit, give you another call. Can't be any easier. You don't even need to see a computer screen. To give an example of how powerful that can be, Wednesday this week, 1 week trade for a client, took a 20 grand profit. 20 grand, how would you like that? He didn't even see a computer screen in that week. That's because we're there looking after the trade. So if you like the sound of that, I'll be here tonight and tomorrow. Let's have a one-on-one appointment. If you have shares, we'll have a chat about that as well, and we'll take it from there.
Thanks. So guys, grab a hold of Jace. Be careful where you grab him. He's delicate. If you want to have a one-on-one appointment, he'll be happy to take those with you anytime over tonight and tomorrow. And I really would take advantage of someone that's in the trenches day in and day out running this business, because he does a terrific job of it. Now, guys, we said we were going to give you a free opportunity to get started. What we've got is some paperwork which we will fire around right now. It just says, look, yes, I'm interested in opening an account online or US or Australia or full service. We can help you with all of those. That paperwork's coming through right now. What I'd ask you to do is this, and then we will take a break for lunch, is just take a few minutes to complete it right now. Don't take it away with you, because you're going to get ketchup on it, or you're going to have whatever you choose to have for dinner on it, and you'll put off making the decision. It's free. There's no obligation. We're not going to break the door down. Take a few minutes to fill it in. One thing I would ask you, though, when you fill that form in, if you could please just particularly pay attention when it comes to filling in your email address. If you could print that fairly carefully, because obviously that's one of those things that needs to be right. I think we've got some form-filling music that'll just help you along the way there, and we'll give you a couple of moments of that, and I've got a couple of key tips to give you, and then we'll get you on your way. So where do we go from here? How quickly can we have you set up? It's a very, very straightforward process to get you set up with your account. We'll have you set up this side of Christmas. You'll be ready to click the trigger in the new year, which is a great time to be involved with markets. How many people have learned something today just out of interest? That's terrific, and I'm glad you're here to experience this. What I'm going to do, I'm going to come back tomorrow, and I've got something very, very specific I want to share with you tomorrow. This is a cornerstone investment strategy. But how many people in the room right now are really, really super serious about turbocharging cash flow? Any takers for that? Well, tomorrow morning, I'm going to come back when you're nice and fresh, and I'm going to run through some killer strategies that we're using in the market right now. You think, well, what do you describe as a killer strategy in the market right now? If I look at our trading performance this financial year, which is almost 6 months these days, we are up nearly, actually just a touch over 170% net for our clients with that strategy. How many people are interested in that sort of space to be operating in? More? Less? I don't know. Gee, you're a tough crowd. You must be hungry. That's all I can say. Tomorrow, I'm going to come back and show you the strategies that we're using to take advantage of that, specifically in the commodities market. I'll leave you one thing to have a think about tonight. I had a really, really bad night's sleep last night. I had the worst nightmare I've ever had. I had this nightmare that Gloria Gaynor's ghost was at the end of my bed. First I was afraid, then I was petrified. Guys, enjoy your evening, enjoy your dinner. We'll see you later on. Thanks a million.